With all of the DC and Marvel movies coming out, we are quick to admire the superheroes' strength, agility, and other cool stuff that makes them superhuman. We at First 10 found 10 totally amazing humans who are not far from being superheroes. We don't claim that any of these abilities are actually superpowers, as we've grown used to defining them. When you're done watching, drop a line in the comment and tell us what superpower you wish you had. Magnetic Man. Several people in history were known for having strange magnetic abilities, but the most widely known is Liu Linear. This Chinese man can stick any metal object to his body. Scientists from Malaysia's University of Technology figured out that his skin has very high levels of friction, which provide a suction effect. Metal objects weighing up to 2 kilograms individually and 36 kilograms in total can stick to his body through magnetism. Liu has even pulled a car using this ability. The trait appears to be genetic. His son and grandchildren also possess the same power. On November 1, 2008, Liu Lin hooked one end of a steel contraception to a chain and other to the bus. He placed the contraception under his armpit and pulled the bus for 3.4 meters in less than a minute. The Samurai. With his amazing ability to move a sword with seemingly superhuman speed and accuracy, Japanese Aikido master Isao Machiai holds multiple world records, including the fastest 1,000 martial arts sword cuts and the fastest tennis ball cut by a sword. So far, all of these records sound extremely impressive, but within the realm of possibility for a master swordsman. Though what Isao does on June of 2013 can hardly even be explained. As he stares down the barrel of an airsoft rifle, he prepares himself to cut a BB pellet fired towards him at 158 kilometers per hour. With his sword still seated in his scabbard, the gun fires and Isao draws it and cuts in one fluid motion, which splits the pellet in two in what can only be described as pure instinct. Any normal human would not even have time to react to the bullet being fired before it passed them, let alone draw a sword and make an attempt at cutting it. Xray Vision Girl. Natasha Demkina developed an interesting hobby when she was 10 years old. She found that she could scan her mother's body and describe in intimate detail the location and condition of all of her mom's organs. News soon spread, and her neighbors in her hometown of Saransk, in western Russia, began showing up at her doorstep for body scans and diagnoses. The local children's hospital decided to test her abilities, and the girl was able to draw a diagram of one doctor's stomach with a dark area in the exact spot of his ulcer. She also contested the cancer diagnosis of one patient. Later tests supported Demkina's diagnosis of a benign cyst. The Iceman. Running shirtless and shoeless may not seem like a superhuman power, until you consider that Wim Hof ran a half marathon 200 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, where the temperature is nearly minus 20 degrees and the run took 5 hours and 25 minutes. At one point, the attending physician on the run warned Hof not to continue because she couldn't guarantee that his toes would survive. The Iceman practices Tummo, a way of controlling the body's temperature that is usually only mastered by Tibetan yogi monks. To add to his records and feats, Hof has climbed Kilimanjaro in 2 days wearing nothing but his signature black shorts. He also broke his own record of the longest ice bath by staying submerged in ice for 1 hour 13 minutes and 48 seconds. In 2007, he attempted to climb Mount Everest wearing only the shorts, but failed. Not because he was too cold, however, rather because he injured his foot. Zamora. Tim Cridland, better known as Zamora, has been a sideshow phenomenon for decades, able to perform such tortuous tasks as skewering his lower jaw with a sharp rod by sticking it in his mouth and out below his chin. He's also able to cut into his torso to retrieve recently swallowed items. He insists that he's able to perform these tasks through a Zen-like approach that allows him to transcend pain. However, many in the medical community believe that Cridland was born with a genetic alteration that causes him to experience no pain. Mr. Eat Everything. French entertainer Michel Lotito was popular as Monsieur Mange-Tout or Mr. Eats All because of his rare digestive disorder. The condition he suffered from, known as pica, is categorized by the appetite for non-consumable objects made of glass, rubber, dirt, rocks and metal, among other things. He could eat sharp metal objects without harming himself due to the abnormally thick lining in his stomach and intestines. His biggest achievement thus far? He ate a frickin' Cessna 150 airplane. The French SpiderMan. If you thought that the only way to harness the powers of Spider-Man was to endure a radioactive spider bite, think again. 54-year-old Alain Robert, also known as the French SpiderMan, is famous for his spine-chilling feats in urban climbing. Without any safety equipment to keep him from falling, Robert hoists himself hundreds of feet into the sky, scaling multi-story buildings in broad daylight. Among his death-defying accents, Robert has climbed the Eiffel Tower, the Empire State Building, the Canada Square Tower, the Petronas Towers in Malaysia, and the Four Seasons Hotel in Hong Kong. Although urban climbing is not technically illegal, Robert has been arrested over 100 times for trespassing and causing public disturbances. Most recently, the thrill seeker was arrested after successfully summiting a skyscraper in London. Though Robert flirts with death each time that he mounts a slippery, sleek building, he takes comfort in the knowledge that he is pursuing his passion. Super Audiation Boy. Blinded by cancer as a toddler, Ben Underwood developed the ability to see using echolocation. By clicking his tongue, Underwood read the sound waves that bounce off of objects around him. He not only could use these reading to navigate around the objects, but could also identify what he was seeing. This ability allowed him to function like any other teenager. In fact, the only difference between him and his classmates during his freshman year was that he took his notes in Braille. Underwood taught himself to rollerblade, skateboard, and participate in martial arts, all using echolocation. Sadly, the cancer that claimed his eyesight took his life in January 2009 at the age of 16. Perfect visual memory. All it took for British artist Stephen Wiltshire to memorize and draw intricate details of the Tokyo, Rome, Hong Kong, Dubai, and New York City skylines was a brief helicopter ride over each city. He is famous around the world for his phenomenal memory. He can recreate any landscape after looking at it for mere moments. Jetman. Yves Rossi, sometimes called Jetman, has been trying to fly like a superhero for the last 20 years. Rossi pretty much flies like Superman, hundreds of feet in the air, but instead of a cape, he uses 7-foot-long wings and 4 engines. Each pack weighs about 120 pounds. For them to stay up longer than 10 minutes, they'd have to add fuel, which would make the packs even heavier. He thinks making the packs light is probably the next step. He hopes one day, there will be a way for anyone including his grandmother to fly.